Hello, everyone, and welcome to Good Journeys Tarot. I'm Rosemary, and we'll get started shortly talking about the Seven of Wands, which is our card for this week. Before we do, I always like to share what's been going on new with me and happening. Um, Last week, immediately after recording this video, this deck arrived, the Numinous Tarot. Now, this was kind of a stretch for me. I've actually looked at this deck many times and refused to buy it because they changed the names of all the cards and all the suits, and it just doesn't resonate with me. And so I've decided to get more out of my comfort zone, so I purchased it. I have fallen in love with this deck and have been working with it a great deal, which you would see on Instagram if you hopped over there. Um, and yes, so interesting thing happened last night. Last night I decided I wanted to draw a picture and I didn't really know what I wanted to draw. So I decided to draw a card and I pulled this deck out, which I actually purchased a rainbow colored scarf to use as a reading cloth for because I am going on a trip and I'm going to take this deck with me. And when I was shuffling, the backing of the cards, which is a very nice feeling coating, came off. Like it just started peeling off of the card. And I was able to just tap it with a low heat iron. And it went back down, but I'm concerned now that it's going to happen with all of the cards because it's very much like when you buy an inexpensive notebook with a pretty picture on the front of it. It has that nice feeling across it where it's smooth plastic, and then 3 months later, after working with it, the top layer is peeling off. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that or experienced that, but that's what it reminded me of. So I ended up, rather than drawing something about the card, drawing something about my experience with the card, which ended up being this little merman crying. So yeah, do mermen cry? Can you see their tears? I don't know. Well, at least that one you can. So welcome, Regina. Glad that you dropped by. Nice to see you. Yesterday, and I posted again about this over on Instagram. I went to my favorite metaphysics shop. I purchased this butterfly, which has a Celtic design on it. This was kind of a gift for me for meeting a goal. And I'll be talking about that goal on October the 11th in a live. I haven't picked a time for that yet because that's not my usual Sunday time slot that I do the cards during. That is actually going to be a Monday. It's a special event that I'm doing. And then I also purchased this Melanggana jasper, which is from Indonesia. And I just loved that dot right there in it. And so thought it was beautiful, and its correspondence relates to work that I'm doing right now. It helps, supposed to help with grounding and with transformation. I picked up this spray, which is cedar wood, because it relates to something else that I've been working on. And sometimes I just don't want to burn incense. And then I finally got my selenite bowl. I had been looking at selenite bowls for a while, every time I went into my local metaphysics shop. And this time she had this hexagonal one, which I thought was interesting. And so I grabbed it. For some reason, every time I've looked at the bowls in her store, I've said, no, not today. No, not today. And I suppose this is why, because I was able to get this hexagonal one, which is a little bit of a different shape. Okay, so the other thing I've been up to lately is creating my planner for the new year. I have been working with these Bullet Keeper planners for a while now. They're blank, and so I get to fill in all of the information. They have months followed by 5 weeks, followed by a bunch of empty pages. They're bullet pages. And so I just mock them up each year with stuff that I want in them, like my card of the year and some various things that are meaningful to me. That's my year ahead spread. And then in the back, I use the bullet pages to do like a Book of Shadows style thing where I have information that I'm studying as well as information I've accumulated. There's my wheel of correspondence that I've still yet to do a video on. There's some stuff on the Tree of Life, which I've currently been studying in a class. The reason I'm starting my journal, my planner in October is because one, I've made some lifestyle changes, which I'll be talking about in that October 11th video, which I'm hoping to do on both Instagram and YouTube simultaneously. And then secondly, that is my birth month. So my card of the year changes starting this month. It will be the wheel. And then third, I just have not been relating to the planner that I started at the beginning of the year. I had created it based on the idea that I would work with the Wildwood Tarot all year, and I just haven't. I started working with it, and I just wasn't connecting with the Wildwood and its correspondences. It's a completely different system, and that system just doesn't seem to work for me. I love the imagery. It's beautiful. I will still read with the deck occasionally, but I have to read it as a RWS deck, even though some of the images don't correspond directly because I just am not connecting with their system. So that's what I've been up to. So we're going to get into our discussion of our Seven of Wands. So this card, typically when people see it, they think about taking a stand. Christina Gadot said that this card and the 9 both exude that same idea of defensiveness and also, in my mind, perseverance. However, this card we might see as more active than, say, the 9, which is more passive. This is you before you've gone through the battle. It depicts you standing alone while there may be a larger battle going on around you that involves, the rest of the world. This is you in your corner where you've been trapped and taking a stand there. So some have equated this to the idea of patriotism, which I thought was an interesting idea. So that's why when I colored the card this week, I did the outfit in red and blue to connect it with patriotism a little bit and remind me of that. Let's take a look at some of my favorite cards from decks. So this one did not show up on Instagram because I purchased it after I did the photos for this week. This is from my Numinous Tarot, which I just showed. I don't think I said the name of it. And this picture is actually a little different. It shows the person who in the 6 is now successful and people are jealous. They're upset about it. They're angry about it. And that is a type of perspective for this card. I mean, this is you having to stand up for yourself against everyone else. So I thought that was an interesting take. This is the Urban Tarot, where we see the Thoth version of the card depicted on protest signs. I thought this was an interesting interpretation, and this relates to the image that I have created for my personal Seven of Wands, which I'll be showing you in a moment. The Bonestone and Earth Flesh. This person looks like they're already on top of the game, right? They're winning the battle. I thought this was a gorgeous image of this person standing on their own 2 feet, so to speak, against everyone and winning. And that's one concept that I've never really thought of, but because this is a 7, it's related to victory on the Tree of Life. There is an implied victory here, like we are taking a stand and we are going to eventually win, even though that win is not depicted right here, right? Here is the slow tarot. It does indicate that kind of idea of perseverance that we chatted about earlier. You don't really get that standing up against everyone else that you get in most decks. The This Might Hurt Tarot is just another interpretation of the classic idea and imagery. In the Modern Love, there's actually two people standing up together, possibly still that idea of the marginalized, aka the LGBT community, standing up to others, but then maybe also adding that aspect of having people to stand with you, but nevertheless that idea of standing up for oneself regardless of whether you have company or not. I thought this was cute. I need to do some reading about orangutans to see why she chose to use an orangutan in the Curious Travels deck. But it's basically the Waite Smith image with the orangutan. And my favorite card this week comes once again from the Spirit Keepers Tarot. This is the Seven of Scepters, the Dark Horse. And I just love the stance of this person in their battle. I like how she used the stylized stabs in the front from the Thoth. And while you may not be able to see it on my computer here, the person has markings that connect them to the element of fire on their clothing. I just think this is a beautiful image. And this, again, you'll see the reference to Mars and Leo here at the top, which we're going to talk about some more in just a moment. Oftentimes, this is equated with the underdog. This is the person alone. It is equated often with marginalized communities, communities that have to stand up for themselves. This person could possibly be strong-willed. They're definitely resisting what is happening in their life. This is about valor, as the Thoth would say. This is your Wonder Woman or your He-Man. Those people who are going to stand alone against oppression if necessary, right? If you look, they are wearing two different shoes. One's a boot and one's a slipper type of shoe. A lot has been chatted about this, and Pamela Coleman Smith's work in the theater, that this might be a reference to Petruchio, who showed up to his wedding in disarray. So perhaps the person doesn't have it all together, but they're going to do what they can with what they have, right? Where they are. Another way of looking at this that I heard somewhere is that they are attempting to deceive their opponents, okay, make them think they're unprepared, when in fact they have it all together and that they are going to be victorious because they have it all together already. Thought that was an interesting concept. In the reverse, sometimes this could indicate that we are being defensive in a bad way, that we are weak or we're a coward. It might also just be about delay. So this card is really about that fight or flight process, when you encounter something that is coming at you. And upright, that's your fight, and the reverse would then be your flight. So this is, rather than taking a stand, moving away from the issue. As far as personal application, sometimes we may look at this card and we want to remember that we don't want to end up backed in a corner that way. We want to watch out for that, so we don't have to take a stand. But it's equally important to take a stand when we have to, because in most of these, you'll see we have the high ground, right? This person is above the others in the fight. They are on top of the cliff while the others are down below. And that's related to that aspect of victory. when we have the high ground, we are the morally right person in this fight that we have going on, and we anticipate winning because of that. So let's take a look at the card which I created for this. So here, I actually thought for a while about what in my life would be representative of this particular card. And the only thing that came to my mind was this moment in time. And it's happened to me numerous times over the last decade. Uh, as I marched in the Atlanta Pride Parade, there is a corner where we turn before the parade ends that is like the crossroads of the LGBT community in Atlanta. And there's always protesters gathered there, yelling and screaming and with their signs. And their signs are all these huge pansies. And, it's always funny to me when I pass there because they think the pansies are a bad thing. But for me, I love pansies. I think they're pretty, and they don't have a negative connotation for me. And so and because they're usually drowned out by all of the cheers and whatnot going on around them, it makes for a more pleasing and happy experience. But this is a place where I feel like, I took a stand. Like I decided I would start marching in the parade regardless of the protesters, because I felt it was important for the visibility of the LGBT community, to be recognized as the same as everyone else, right? And so that's the image that jumped into my mind right away. And so that's why I created the card this way. This is the idea behind the Urban Tarot, as well as a couple of other decks that I've seen out on the market, where people, protesters taking a stand against those who would belittle them or try to make them less than human, right? And that's something we see in a lot of decks, even related to people of color and marginalized people of all kinds. So yeah, so this is the card that I created. It turned out pretty well. When it's painted, I probably will change a few things, maybe add a couple of things to bring in that Mars and Leo energy. This is, we're taking a stand out of our passion, right? It's not just taking a stand to take a stand, but we're passionate about this situation in this place. That's where that patriotism comes in. That's where that protest idea comes in, for marginalized communities. So next week, we are going to be working on the moon. This was the card that I drew just before the broadcast for next week. Interestingly enough, this week, the moon has shown up in several of my readings. And here it is once again. So if I were a betting person, I would bet that the card after this was going to be the Two of Wands, because that has come up all week for me, following the moon. So we'll see how that goes. I will go ahead and let you know that on Wednesday, there will be a video. I believe this one is a tag that I created about guidebooks. And then the following week, I will actually be on vacation. So I will be doing this video next Sunday, and then there will be a week of no videos following the October 11th live, where I get personal. So until next time, guys, good journeys. Thank you for being here, Regina Tarot.